Hey guys, it's Brian from CompanionLabs. I wanted to take a minute or maybe 10 minutes, and I also apologize in advance for the low production quality of this video, but I thought it was really important to go into more detail regarding the recommended campaign configurations if you're going to be using CompanionLabs. And regardless if you're using CompanionLabs or not, this is just a good way to be able to set up your campaigns, because what I see a lot of people doing is dealing with blended performance. And what I mean by that is if you're acquiring customers, brand new customers that have never been to your website before, the marketing efficiency and the marketing performance for engaging those folks and converting them is going to be different versus if somebody comes to your website, they don't necessarily buy, but then you start remarketing to them. So your remarketing performance is going to be different than your prospecting performance. Usually it's better. And then lastly, if they've bought and you have a brand that allows you to be able to sell into that customer base or sell to that customer over a long period of time, then the efficiency of those sales and the return on ad spend that you're going to get from those conversions is going to be even better than your remarketing or your prospecting. And so when you're thinking about your business and how you're communicating with people based upon those different buckets that they fall into, it's just critical that you isolate that within your campaign configuration in Facebook, and it's going to make everything better. The performance of your campaigns, understanding how your campaigns are performing, and then also too, when you're using CompanionLabs, that's going to just work better as well also. So what I wanted to do, I know that I've talked about this conceptually, I've shown some screenshots here and there, I've posted some things in the group, but what I wanted to do is actually step through one of our customers that implemented this. I think it was back in October going into November, and it's been something that's been up and running now. It's kind of on autopilot for them, but you can see the levers that they're able to easily pull in terms of being able to turn up different ad sets or different campaigns across those different phases of the marketing funnel. So if we're looking at the primary campaigns that are up, you can see that the period here is for February, so this month, and CLA just stands for CompanionLabs Advisor, and CUST stands for Customer, RM stands for Remarketing, DPA stands for Dynamic Product Ad, P stands for Prospecting, and then you can see that we've got this RM standard here. So these are standard remarketing ad sets within this campaign that are outside of dynamic product ads. So like I was talking about, if we look at the return on ad spend for remarketing versus prospecting versus customer marketing, it looks different. So again, for this month, February 2018, you can see for their prospecting, they have 86 sales, cost per purchase of $39, and a return on ad spend of 2.31. So this is generally where they want to be. If they're in this range from a prospecting standpoint, they can continue to allocate budget to their prospecting campaigns, increase those budgets on the ad sets, and drive new customer acquisition. Then if you go to RMDPA, you can see that they actually have 111 sales here with a cost per purchase of $8.50 and a return on ad spend of 10. So again, these are people that clicked on the prospecting ad, came to the website, didn't buy, but then there was a dynamic product ad campaign that was targeting them. And then lastly, you can see that for customers, there's 41 sales, a cost per purchase of $4.40, and a return on ad spend of 18.41. So overall, on a blended basis, across all of these different campaigns and these different phases of the marketing funnel, the return on ad spend is 4.69. Cost per sale is $18.90. So what's happening and what I'm seeing from a lot of you guys is you don't have this isolation, you don't have this separation. So if I ask you what your cost per purchase is or your return on ad spend with your customer base, a lot of times it's blended into the prospecting campaigns, and even I don't want to characterize everybody like I don't want this to come across wrong. A lot of you guys are excluding existing purchasers, but there's usually a time limit on it. It's not all of them. It's not taking all of your customers and just putting them in a completely separate campaign. So there usually is some blending that's going on. And there's definitely blending, a lot of blending between remarketing and prospecting, right? So oftentimes I won't see these separated from the prospecting campaigns. What I'll see is just one campaign with a bunch of ad sets that blend all of the lookalikes and the existing website visitors together. And so you don't really understand this isolation of the DPA campaign has a return on ad spend of 10 and the prospecting campaign has a return on ad spend of 2.3. So conceptually, I think this is a pretty simple thing for everybody to wrap their heads around. And what I wanted to do here was just go a little bit deeper into the campaigns and show you how they're configured. So I'm going to flip over into the audiences because it really starts here. And you can see that we have some prospecting and remarketing audiences all here. For the remarketing configuration, these are the key audiences. So you can see here that we have all website visitors in the last 3 days, right? So I'm just going to edit this real quick. Where did I edit? And it's pretty simple. All website visitors in the past 3 days, right? And then if I go into, uncheck that. All website visitors for the last 30 days, right? Everybody that's been to the website in the last 30 days. And then if I go to last 90, it's everybody that's been to the website in the last 90 days. And then this one is give me everybody that's been to the website in the last 180 days. So we've got 3 days, 30 days, 90 days, 180 days. And the reason for that is all of those audiences are going to perform different. So not only do we want to be able to isolate the campaign configuration between prospecting, remarketing, and customer marketing, but when you get into remarketing, you want to be able to isolate those audiences even more because people in the last 3 days are going to perform different than the last 30, than the last 90, 180, etc. All right. And then let me shut this down. And let me go back over to the campaigns. So I'm going to go into one of the prospecting ad sets here. And let's just look at this. Okay, so this is what a lot of you guys obviously have if you're targeting lookalikes. You've got your Shopify paying customer lookalike. It's a 1% lookalike here, but it's not showing up in the name. It's an older one that he's been using, and you can see that we're excluding all list-based customers, or I should say list-based customers. We're excluding all customers through lists that have been uploaded of Shopify customers, as well as people that have submitted their email address. And so we've got 2 list-based custom audiences that we're excluding for the prospecting. And then we're also excluding all of those website visitors from the last 180 days. So if you remember that audience that we created, or that was created in the audiences section here, this is basically for this prospecting campaign. Anybody that's been to the website in the last 180 days is getting excluded. All existing customers are getting excluded. Anybody that's submitted an email address is getting excluded. The only people that this ad set is targeting are those lookalikes, right? And so if you go into all of the different ad sets within this campaign, it's the same deal, right? They have that same isolation in terms of making sure that existing website visitors and existing customers are isolated there or excluded. So let's go into the DPA campaign. So DPA, dynamic product ads, somebody came to the website, they viewed a product, they didn't buy it. What we're then doing is surfacing that product back in front of them dynamically, right? So if you looked at 3 different products, those are the 3 that you're going to see in this ad. Getting back to the isolation here of different audiences and them performing different. So this is a good example of that. So you can see here, this ad set has been to the website in the last 3 days. You can see that the cost per purchase here is $7.89, and the return on ad spend is $11.47. The last 3 days DPA ad set, they pretty much just always let run, and it makes sense because what happens here is, somebody's looking at the product, they're on the website, maybe they looked at 3 different products and their battery died, or they got a phone call, or they had to go pick up the kids, whatever the case may be, right? There's a lot of purchases that just don't happen because people got interrupted, and a last 3-day DPA ad set does a great job of being able to just get back in front of those people with what they likely were going to buy and get them to convert. And you can see that in the performance. Now, this last 30 days, right, is a DPA ad set, dynamic product ad set, that's going to everybody in the last 30 days, but it excludes the people that have been there in the last 3 days, right? And they don't leave this on all the time. So you can see the performance isn't as good. The cost per purchase is $10. The return on ad spend is 6.56. So the return on ad spend is almost half of what the last 3 day is. So they'll turn this on, they'll turn it off, and pause it right now. So for instance, let's just turn it off. And for these, I just want to show for the DPA campaigns, let's not worry about that. For the DPA campaigns, how this isolation actually occurs, because within dynamic product ads, you specify the time frame here for how far back you want to be able to target people. So you got to go into show and advanced options, and then here you can see we're saying exclude everybody that has been to the website in the last 3 days. So this means that anybody that is getting targeted by this ad set, they've been to the website between 4 and 30 days ago, right? And then if we look at the ad set configuration for the last 3 days, we don't have to worry about this because we're just saying give us everybody that's been to the website in the last 3 days, but we are excluding existing purchasers, right? So important point for both of them. So if you're an existing customer and you came to the website, we're actually going to hit you with a different campaign because you're the existing purchaser. Boy, the existing customers aren't going to get this. All right, sorry about that. Boy, I can't talk this morning. Okay, so let's go to the RM standard. And the difference between the remarketing standard versus the remarketing DPA is that the remarketing DPA campaign is feed-based, it's dynamic. Somebody was looking at a product, they didn't buy it, now we're putting it in front of them again. It's dynamic, it's automated, it's super easy to set up, it's super efficient, and it gets those purchases where somebody just got interrupted and they still want to buy it, right? The remarketing standard campaign and the ad sets that are in here are more promotional in their orientation. So if this brand has a new product that they just launched, or they're doing a new promo, right? They'll use these ad sets, and they don't use them all the time, but they'll use these ad sets to be able to communicate that to the existing website visitors. And again, existing customers are excluded. So if we go in and we look at this campaign, you can see that we've got 3 ad sets. So everybody that's been to the website in the last 30 days, last 90 days, last 180, and like before, we're excluding existing customers from this. So if I scroll down here, you can see that this one is all website visitors in the last 30 days, excluding all customers, everybody that submitted their email address, and everybody that has been to the website in the last 3 days. So keep in mind, these people are getting the DPA campaign, right? And so we're not hitting them over the head with this. Now, sometimes, depending upon the nature of the promotion, maybe we'll just remove this exclusion for a little bit so they can get whatever's in this ad set. But for most of the time, the people that have been at the website in the last 3 days are getting excluded, so they can get the DPA campaign, right? And then if we click on the last 90 days, you can see here everybody that's been to the website in the last 90 days, is the audience that's being targeted, and then we're excluding everybody that's been into the website in the last 30 days. So people that are targeted by this ad set have been to the website 31 days to 60 days, right? Excluding everybody else, excluding existing customers, excluding everybody that submitted an email address. And then the last 180 days works the exact same way, right? So this is going to be targeting people that have been to the website 91 to 180 days ago, but never bought, never submitted an email address. And you can see the exclusions. So everybody that's been there in the last 180 days, and then we're excluding last 90, last 30 purchasers, everybody that submitted an email address. So we have that isolation here. Now in February, they haven't been doing a lot with this, right? It's mostly just been prospecting and the dynamic product ads that are running on autopilot. But if you go back to, say, like November, where there were a ton of Black Friday things going on and holiday promotion and all that good stuff, it really gives you an idea of the isolation here, right? So you can see, and again, it kind of works like clockwork. I don't want to say that it always works like clockwork, but the cost per sale here was $10.30 for people. This is November. $10.30 for people that have been to the website in the last 30 days. And then it was $13 for the last 90 days. And then for the last 180 days, it was $20, right? So the performance is different. It is noticeable, or I should say, it is notable that the return on ad spend is actually a little bit different here. So there's not necessarily a direct relationship between cost per purchase and return on ad spend. But you can see being able to understand how each one of these sub-remarketing ad sets is performing is really good. And the other thing too is that, let's just say that on a blended basis, and it probably wouldn't be the case, that 6.55 wouldn't be acceptable return on ad spend. But oftentimes it's not unusual to see, say, like the last 180 days website, so visitors, so this is again 91 to 180, may not be performing at a really good level at all, and so you just shut that one off, but you leave the last 30 and the last 90 going, right? So it just gives people a heck of a lot more control when you're managing your remarketing campaigns, because you're not looking at everything on a blended basis. So let's go back to February here. All right. And then lastly is the customer campaign. So there's one ad set in here, and you can see that there's not a ton of money that's spent on this in February. The amount spent is only a couple $100, but it's super efficient. So you have 41 purchases, cost per sale of $40, return on ad spend of 18. And if I click into this, it's a pretty simple configuration. Just let's target all purchasers, all Shopify customers that came in off of a customer list. Those are all purchasers in the US, right? And so that's what's being targeted here. And it's not turned on all the time. So, I mean, that's the other thing too that's happening, is that not only are you looking at blended performance if you don't do this isolation, but if I visit a website and somebody doesn't have this type of campaign configuration set up, then what takes place is, as a potential customer of a brand, I'm getting hit over the head all the time with ads that aren't even really tailored for me, right? And so I think that's a really important thing to keep in mind with this, is not only is the isolation allowing you to understand your performance, and it's allowing you to understand your performance and also have more levers that you can pull when you're managing your campaigns. But from a customer experience perspective, it's just a heck of a lot better, because you're able to say, okay, this person's been to the website in the last 91 to 180 days. They haven't bought yet. What could we do from a messaging standpoint, from a promotion standpoint? What is the stimulus perhaps that we could use for that group to get them to buy, which might be different than people that have been to the website in the last 30 days versus the last 3 versus an existing customer that's bought multiple times. So the customer experience that you're able to deliver from this is also just another benefit, and that should translate into better campaign performance overall, both in terms of efficiency as well as the overall customer perception. So Let me actually, because this hasn't been turned up too much, but let's go and look at this within that November period, right? Back during the holiday. So wow, 172 sales, cost per purchase of $4, return on ad spend of 18. It's just highly efficient. It's highly efficient, and you can see it across these different campaigns when you separate it from customer marketing to remarketing to prospecting. That return on ad spend is going to look different, and you can see what it was across all of these campaigns for the holiday period, right? Like it was, they blew it out. So if you have any questions on how to set this up, like just ask below. I'll come in and answer these on the group thread. It's critical, like I said. I mean, even if you're not using us for performance grading or predictive budget recommendations or bid testing, like do this. Make sure your campaigns are set up this way. You're going to be able to advertise a lot better. And then if you get to a point where it does make sense to start using us because you've got a good historical baseline of performance, and you need to be able to scale and squeeze more performance out of your top campaigns, then you're going to be in a position to have the best experience with CompanionLabs as well. So thanks again for everybody. Thanks again everybody for your time. Again, apologies for the less than great production value here, but I just wanted to make sure that I got this out to everybody, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.